And we are back. Welcome to my predictions for Premier League Game Week 12. After a mixed week for the English sides in Europe, seeing 5 winners and 3 losers, we return to the Premier League one last time before the next international break. And a reminder to all of you guys that we do daily predictions during the international breaks. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so already, to make sure you get all of those international predictions over the course of the next 2 weeks. And before we start today's video, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video as well if you do enjoy these predictions series. Let's get in to Premier League Game Week 12. And we start off with possibly the toughest fixture of the entire weekend straight away. It is Wolves against Tottenham in the early kickoff on Saturday. And the reason why I think this one is so tough is obviously due to what happened on Monday night. Spurs are going to be without Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie and Maddison for this game. And obviously they are coming off the back of a 4-1 defeat, which ended their unbeaten start to the season. Wolves, on the other hand, are playing some very good football at the moment and will absolutely be looking to cash in on Spurs' sudden vulnerability. I look at this game now, I look at the players that Spurs have available to them. They don't have any real recognised centre-backs other than Eric Dyer or academy players. And like I say, going forward, there really is no out-and-out replacement for James Maddison. So I think it's going to be really hard for Spurs to score in this game. And with their defence looking so vulnerable and how well Wolves have been attacking, I'm going to go for 2-1 to Wolves. Like I say, though, this is probably the toughest fixture to predict this weekend. But I just think Wolves are going to take it, given how much of a shock to the system this is going to be for Spurs and how little time they've had to prepare for this game, considering it has been from Monday night until Saturday lunchtime rather than the usual Saturday to Saturday preparation time. On to the first of several 3 o'clock kickoffs this week, we have Arsenal and Burnley. Arsenal, of course, off the back of the 2-0 win over Sevilla in midweek, and of course the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle in controversial circumstances in the Premier League. I don't see this one being too much of a problem for Arsenal. Whether or not Bukayo Saka is fit or not, I think it's irrelevant. I think they've got more than enough quality to deal with Burnley, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Arsenal. Next up, we have Crystal Palace taking on Everton. Two sides that are both playing some very good football at the moment and are both producing good results. I look at this from a perspective of, I just think it's going to be a case of which defence comes out on top. Both sides' biggest strength so far this season has actually been how well they've defended, and I was tempted to go for a draw, but I do just think Crystal Palace have that little bit of an edge over Everton overall, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Crystal Palace. I almost went for 1-0 as well, but I just have this little feeling, like they did last weekend, that they're just going to be able to grab a second late on as well. Next up, Manchester United and Luton Town. My family derby, as it were, as obviously I'm a Manchester United fan. I come from a family of Luton Town fans. I am going to the game at Old Trafford tomorrow, so there may not be a post-match reaction. There could be a reaction when I get home, probably at like 10 o'clock at night or something, but if there is no reaction to the match, it's because I was actually at the match. And I don't know, man. Like, after what happened in midweek, you sort of have to look at it from the perspective of we were playing really, really well until we got a player sent off, but then we absolutely capitulated. Luton, on the other hand, just pulled off a great result against Liverpool, where they were arguably unlucky not to win. And it's very hard for me not to have some sort of bias towards both teams, who have obviously grown up with some support for both teams. Manchester United should win this game. From a footballing perspective, from the state of the club perspective, Manchester United have to win this game. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Manchester United. But the fact that I would be sitting here saying that I have serious doubt over the fact that Manchester United are going to beat Luton Town sort of tells you how poorly this season has gone for Manchester United. With the greatest respect to Luton Town, of course. But I'm still going to go for the United win. I don't really think Luton are going to score against Man United, and I expect Manchester United to score at least one the other way. But we shall see. I really think anything could happen in this game. Finally, for Saturday, it is Bournemouth taking on Newcastle. Newcastle, for the second week running, playing the evening game on Saturday. And I just think this is going to be a comfortable win for them. Yes, they struggled in Dortmund the other day, but Bournemouth defensively just are not at it at the moment. They got picked apart several times last weekend, and I expect it to be the same case this weekend. I'm going to go for 4-1. I always think Bournemouth are capable of nabbing a goal, but I think overall Newcastle are going to be far, far too strong for them. On to Sunday, and at 2 o'clock we have all 4 Europa teams playing at the same time. So we'll start off with Aston Villa taking on Fulham. Villa winning 2-1 last night over AZ Alkmaar off the back of a very poor performance from them against Nottingham Forest last weekend. Fulham, on the other hand, again, arguably very unlucky not to get the result against Manchester United last weekend due to a calamitous goal defensively and arguably offensively as well. I think this is going to be a tight game. Obviously, we know at home Villa are capable of just running away with these games, but again, Fulham are very good defensively. I don't think they're going to make it too easy for Aston Villa, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Villa in that one. Next up, it is Brighton and Sheffield United. Sheffield United, of course, got a massive win last weekend, albeit due to a penalty that should never have been given. But it was a win for them nonetheless, which was their first win of the season. They now travel to Brighton, who won 2-0 away at Ajax last night, who desperately needed a result after a poor run of form in the Premier League. I think this will probably kickstart them again. You never know. Sheffield United can be solid defensively, but equally they can ship 8 goals to Newcastle and 5 goals to Arsenal. I'm going to go for 4-0 to Brighton in this one. Now we move on to Liverpool and Brentford. Liverpool, of course, losing to Toulouse last night, but they did basically play their entire reserve team. However, they did bring a lot of their main players on at half-time, and they probably should have had their third goal given, considering the fact that the handball came about 40 seconds before the ball actually went in the back of the net. So, weird one to place in terms of their form, but I think we all expect Liverpool to beat Brentford in this one. Don't get me wrong, Brentford are playing some good stuff themselves at the moment. We know that they're going to play that 5-3-2 system that they always employ against the big teams, and in those sort of circumstances, they are capable of pulling off results, but I'm going to go for Liverpool. I'm going to go for the bog standard Liverpool prediction, which is 3-1 Liverpool. Finally, in terms of the 2 o'clock kickoffs, we have West Ham United taking on Nottingham Forest. West Ham won 1-0 over Olympiacos last night. Forest will be looking to back up their massive 2-0 win last weekend over Aston Villa. Again, tough one to call, but I think you have to favour the home side in this one. I think West Ham have been better in the last couple of games, and I expect them to turn it up again in the Sunday game. I'm going to go for 2-1. I almost went for 2-0, but again, I just think Nottingham Forest are going to score. If Forest manage to get the first goal in this game, it could become a very interesting one, but I think overall, West Ham are just going to be a little bit too strong. And then finally, it is the main event of the weekend, the final game of Premier League action before the international break. It is Chelsea off the back of a 4-1 win away against 9-man Spurs, taking on Manchester City, who have absolutely rediscovered their form, pretty much because of Manchester United allowing them to play to their absolute maximum at Old Trafford, which they've then backed up with a 6-1 win in the Premier League and then a massive win in Europe as well. The scoreline actually escapes me. I think it was 4-0 or 4-1 or something. But they now go to Stamford Bridge, and look, Chelsea are probably going to be full of confidence, thinking that they can now take on anyone. If they go into this game with that mindset, oh boy, are they in for a massive shock. I just don't think Chelsea are going to get the result in this one. They're definitely capable, don't get me wrong. Things can go their way in this game. And of course, the likes of Sterling and Cole Palmer playing against their former club, they'll be wanting to prove themselves to the side that let them go. And of course, I don't have to worry about the international break because Reece James and Raheem Sterling have not been called up for the England squad, which I thought was a bit of a surprise, but we could do a whole nother video on that at some point if you want. I still think City have to go into this game as strong favourites. I still expect Manchester City to get the win. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Manchester City to round off this week's predictions. Thank you very much for watching. As always, let me know down in the comments all of your thoughts. I will be back, like I say, at some point next week when we start doing our predictions for the international break. I will see you then.